Good evening. Welcome, everybody. We are about to get started. Please have a seat. Okay. It is 5:15 and I will call this meeting to order. In partnership with the tribes who called Phoenix their home first, we acknowledge and respect the land our schools are built on. We commit to being a strong partner with any and all tribal nations who entrust their children to our schools. We are grateful and honored to be partners. May I get a roll call?
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Here.
Mr. Regional Carrillo,
Here.
Ms. Erica de la Rosa, Dr. Alicia Vink,
Here.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Present.
Thank you.
Let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Good job, everybody. Do I have a recommendation for today's agenda?
Madam President, I recommend you adopt the agenda as it stands.
Okay, do I have a motion? This is Carmen Trujillo. So moved. I'll second.
Roll call for Ms. Jessica Bueno,
Aye.
Mr. Regional Carrillo,
Aye.
Dr. Alicia Vink,
Aye.
and Ms. Carmen Trujillo.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to our awards, recognitions, and announcements.
Ladies and gentlemen, will you make some noise, please, for the Dunbar Third Grade Orchestra and Guitar Group?
Good job, guys.
Thank you, Dunbar Dragons, for a wonderful performance.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Okay. Thank you. We're moving on to our awards, recognitions, and announcements. We'll start off with our January Star Awards. Who's reading them? Okay, I'll start with our January Star Awards at Bethune. We have Mr. Ricardo Rios, crossing guard at Bethune. Mr. Rios joined the Bethune community this school year as a crossing guard, but you will also find him helping the custodial staff keep the school clean, playing basketball with the students at lunchtime, helping fix a chair or table, and doing whatever needs to be done. He is the smiling, happy face that our students see on their way to school, and we are very fortunate to have him on staff. 3 words used to describe Ricardo are driven, helpful, and resourceful. Congratulations, Mr. Rios. Would you mind going next, Mr. Carrillo?
Margarita Herrera, ELL interventionist at Bethune. Ms. Herrera joined the Bethune community late last year after being a tester for Zella and has been an asset ever since. She has built rapport with students and staff authentically and quickly. The students love to be in her class because she uses her experiences as an EL student to connect with them. In her spare time, she heads up the design club and helps beautify any event we have in the works. We are fortunate to have her expertise and passion at Bethune. Some of the words used to describe Ms. Herrera are reliable, passionate, and children-first mentality. And I'll pass it to my left.
And then we have Ms. Camacho, the Assistant Office Manager at Dunbar. Ms. Camacho always puts forth her best effort and is willing to do what is best for Dunbar students and staff. This is her first year as the Assistant Office Manager, and she has adapted amazingly. She is always working to better herself, learn new things, and goes above and beyond in her role. Dunbar is very lucky to have her in the office. Some of the many words used to describe Ms. Camacho are hardworking, empathetic, efficient, reliable, flexible, and responsible.
Next, we have Nicholas Shelzy, a physical education teacher at Dunbar. Mr. Shelzy is always available to help and has been dedicated to improving systems at Dunbar since he joined the team earlier this school year. Teaching PE is just a small part of his day as he spends his mornings as the test coordinator and student council representative. And in the afternoon, he oversees the YMCA community enrichment activities and after-school tutoring. Wow. He has amazing relationships with students and families and spends many evenings at the community center checking in on the students before he goes home. He has built strong relationships with staff at Dunbar and offers support to anyone on campus regardless of how busy he may be. Some of the many words used to describe Mr. Shelzy are dependable, determined, patient, reliable, and willing to learn. Congratulations, Mr. Shelzy.
And next we have wanted to recognize our Whittier Kids at Hope Day. Our Whittier students celebrated Kids at Hope Day on February 2nd. Students were able to talk to professionals from different workplaces and industries to learn about what careers they might be interested in. We thank the staff at Whittier and all of the volunteers that made the day special and showed our students how much their community believes in them.
Phoenix #1 Annual Wellness Fair. On February 14th, Phoenix #1 staff gathered at Lowell Elementary for annual wellness fair. Staff had access to snacks, prizes, and activities while learning about their district offered benefits. Thank you to Ms. Crystal Senesi, Benefits and Wellness Supervisor, and our HR team for their hard work to make our annual wellness fair a success. Good job.
Faith North Instructional Assistant was recognized by the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns and Open Door recognized Imani Ponder, Faith North Instructional Assistant, for her outstanding support of students. Ms. Ponder is working toward a bachelor's degree in sustainability and will use the $3,000 donation to purchase resources for sustainability efforts like air filters and recycling boxes. Thank you to the Phoenix Suns and Open Door for supporting our staff and students.
And last but not least, we have Dr. Oz visiting Kenilworth. TV personality and physician Dr. Mehmet Oz visited Kenilworth on February 12th to discuss initiatives to improve school health and nutrition programs. Former NFL players Nick Lowry, Daryl Clack, and Wesley Lisi joined Dr. Oz and shared stories about their lives and careers, autographed items for students, and led a few exercise. Congratulations, Kenilworth.
Thank you. Are we gonna take a photo? Okay, all the Star Award winners, if you are present, please come up to the dais. Thank you all for joining us, and again, congratulations for everything you do for our students. Moving on to item B1, current events summary, superintendent's report.
Good evening, governing board members. The week or the day following our last board meeting, Dr. Ailshire and I were able to attend the Council of Great City Schools workshop for staff supporting student outcomes focused governance in Louisville, Kentucky. We worked with cohort members from school districts across the United States, all focused on addressing our own decisions to be intentional in working to change student outcomes. Later this week, we are going to follow that format of the training to provide for all our site leaders and district academic leadership the opportunities to engage in mindset work. We look forward to coming together to change the adult behaviors so our student outcomes can change. The City of Phoenix is offering grants to reduce the heat islands in our district by providing shade canopies and trees on school campuses. Thanks to Board President Bueno for alerting us to these grants and to Board Member Carrillo for connecting us with AZ Sustainability. I also want to thank our team at Plant Services led by Mr. Olmsted and our school principals who are all working to help us ensure that we're able to plant safely 50 trees and that we will have appropriate training to maintain those trees once they're planted so we have many years of shade in our communities. We're also working to continue to get community input about the ways in which we envision our district moving forward for the next 152 years. We're proud of the 152 years as the first public district in Arizona and the role we have played in helping to create a vibrant and diverse downtown community. However, in planning for the next 152 years, we're looking for new innovations that will allow our traditions of family and culture to thrive and be able to sustain that effort through the next 152 years. We're asking people to consider being thought partners with us as we continue this work by either working on one of our Reimagine Phoenix committees or completing a survey that will be coming out soon, asking you for your input about what makes Phoenix #1 great, but also what we can do to make Phoenix #1 even better. Please watch for the information from Ms. Baker or reach out to your school principal or the superintendent's office if you would like to join a committee or if you are interested in sharing your thoughts. Thank you to all of you who have already written expressing ideas. We appreciate the time and thought you are giving to us, and I know that your ideas will make us all stronger. Madam President, that concludes my remarks this week.
Thank you. Any board members would like to share?
Yeah, I do. Just on top of that, thank you to the entire Phoenix Owl cabinet team for just jumping on that grant, that tree canopy grant, combine all of that. Tree canopy grant and it's a huge financial resource for our community to access trees. And thank you, Mr. Olmsted, for eventually pushing us through. So I can't wait till the day comes. I think we're doing it in phases where we can just like we did at Emerson, get a lot of the community members out to plant those trees at our school sites that really need them. And so I know it's a whole process. So I'll be happy when we get an update on when that grant has been submitted and it's been approved and we're buying those trees and we have dates picked to plant them. And so I know that'll be like wrapping up in the fall because we don't want to plant May, June, because yeah, they'll die. So just going on top of that, just shout out to Nicole Baker, just driving around, seeing our billboards, our communications, campaign strategy in full effect. So shout out to you and your team for getting those. I wasn't even paying attention. It was my partner. He looked up, was like, there's the district, and then he noticed the cute kids. No, thank you to that. Kidding. So thank you. It was wonderful to see, and I hope that it has the impact that we're wanting it to have as people are going through our community and seeing that we're here, that our district is here. And then shout out to Principal Butts, working on an event, Theatrical AZland, to bring artists to the school to perform topics related to environmental inequity. So they're going to be doing artist performance, and we're putting that together and to raise awareness and advocacy about those environmental issues affecting our community. So that is being planned out right now, and hopefully we have a date in April where we can invite the entire community out to enjoy that event as we continue to make environmental sustainability a focus point here. So thank you for that. And then that is all that I have.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I have two things to share. I was able to attend the Student Outcomes Focused Governance training in Louisville as well, and it was largely a refresher from previous training, but I was reminded of some of the sentence frames that are used to kind of help adults understand what it means for student outcomes not to change until adult behaviors do. So I wanted to go ahead and model that for our community, just so that I know that some of our leaders will be going through this training, but for the rest of the community, it might be helpful. So one example of the sentence frame is, I did not honor my integrity, meaning doing what I allowed others to expect of me to the extent I allowed them to expect it when I missed a board meeting a couple weeks ago. The benefit to me was my health. The cost to our students was their time. The meeting was delayed a few minutes. And in the future, you can expect more notice, because I wasn't able to give the kind of notice that would have prevented the delay. So that's just an example of that sentence framing in the Student Outcomes Focused Governance. The other thing from the Student Outcomes Focused Governance training that I thought was interesting is they suggested that the board reports actually not be included in our meetings. So maybe that's something we look at in the future. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, Madam Chair, if I may. I've just got a few. Happy early National School Bus Driver Day. That's here coming up on the 22nd. So big shout out to our school bus drivers who take care of us and our children and everything else they do on top of that. Thank you so very much for choosing Phoenix #1. I'm grateful to be on the same team. I was lucky enough to attend the Garfield Emerson Jazz Concert at a local in-district coffee house, thanks to President Bueno. So that was wonderful. I hear that they perform at other locations and stuff, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for those performances. I also got to attend the Garfield Peter Piper Night fundraiser. So shout out to Garfield. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, I would like to share my board reports. Last Monday, February 12th, I was also in attendance of the jazz concert over at Xanadu, 7th Street and Pierce. Our band did really well. They performed for about an hour, stuck it throughout all that traffic on 7th Street. So they did really well. And I'm so grateful that they also had an audience outside. There was people watching them. So that was good. They also do perform at the Downtown Farmers Market. So if you happen to catch yourself in downtown around 11 a.m., they will perform. The Farmers Market is off of 5th Street and McKinley. Please stop by to support our young artists. And late after that event, came over to the district office where we had our technology think tank. Thank you to Ms. Lauren Ashmore leading that and just really getting feedback on what does our technology plan need to look like. So thank you for your outreach. I know you did that all month long in February, and thank you to all that contributed some beneficial information to them. And then on Tuesday, the 13th, the governance team had the agenda prep meeting with the superintendent, got today's agenda prepared. And then on Wednesday, Valentine's Day, started my morning at Garfield, where our faith specialist, Ms. Mendoza, leads a ESL class for our parents. It was great to interact and see 26 parents eager to learn English. So thank you to Ms. Mendoza for leading that effort. And lastly, we had the wellness fair. Again, thank you to HR for an event that was fun. I had fun. I know a lot of staff was also using the bouncy houses and all the obstacle course. So thank you so much to HR. I know that we're going to get bigger and better. And so thank you for this effort. And I just really hope that those in attendance were appreciative of all the work that went behind making sure that this event happened. And please always send your best wishes and just please be thankful that these types of events are happening. But that concludes my announcements. Thank you to all. Thank you all for sharing up here. And we will move on to C, student outcomes focused governance. Number one, gonna ground us in our work. Thank you. As Dr. Vink mentioned, the preface of our work is student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. Next, and this is our governance framework where we are in alignment with our vision and goals, values and guardrails, monitoring and accountability, communication and collaboration, unity and trust, and continuous improvement. Once we get all of that in alignment is when our student outcomes are the focus. Next. As you see our board goals, we have them up in our boardroom as well. And you can see our first two goals are around early childhood literacy and mathematics. Our third goal is around English learners. And our last two goals are around our middle school literacy and mathematics. We have our superintendent guardrails, as you can see, 1 through 5. Next. And we have our board guardrails as well. Next. That's it? Okay, thank you. Moving on to discussion on board interim goal 5.0 and 5.1 and 5.2. Pass it over to Dr. Gonzalez.
Board President, members of the board, members of our audience, this evening we're going to have a team of people presenting our progress monitoring for for board goal number 5, which is around middle school mathematics. And so we have questions that come from the governing board after they look at our progress monitoring. And I think it's important as we talk about our progress monitoring tonight to note that we have enough data at this point in time to realize that we are perhaps off target in terms of being able to achieve the interim goal that we have. Our goal is that we want to make sure that we increase our AASA performance for 8th grade students from 13% on August of 2023 to 38% of August 2028. What we're doing right now is creating target goals that are set annually to help our students meet that long-term goal, which is more of a aspirational goal or stretch goal for our students. But what we've done is we've broken that into smaller goals annually. And so in the first round of this, we are preparing our students to be able to move from 13% to 18%. And in order to measure that, we look at our interim progress for our 5th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade students. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Lloyd and Dr. Ailshire, as well as Principal Ramos and Sarah Sims and Sarah Galetti, Dr. Sarah Galetti, to all come forward to help respond to some of the questions that have been submitted. The first question is a question from Dr. Vink, and Dr. Ailshire will speak to this. But her question asks, to what do you attribute the differences in achievement at each of the different sites?
All right. Thank you, President Bueno, Vice President Trujillo, community, and all members of cabinet and the board. Dr. Vink, this is a really very good question. This is a question that we talk and discuss a lot about at district, and it's also a question that even school principals, as they look at their own data, look at the variances that happen between classrooms. there's no black and white answer to this kind of question, right? There is a variety of shades of gray that impact student outcomes. And some of the ones that I highlighted include sample size, right? So when we look at certain grade levels are going to have more or less students in there. And so those overall scores are going to be impacted by a degree of 3 or 4 students that are seeing a drop. So if you have a smaller sample size, and some of our classes do, that's going to be impacted on those scores, as well as the qualifications of the teachers that are working with those students. From a principal perspective and from a leadership perspective, the instructional focus that is occurring at the school level, the degree to which the written, taught, and assessed curriculum is really done with fidelity, the way in which teachers are trained on that, the way teachers collaborate around those and have meaningful conversations and collaborative conversations around that data. We know research says that has a huge impact on student outcomes. It is really one of the #1 things that leaders can do on their campuses is build those systems and those structures on their campuses to create those opportunities for the teachers who are really the best instructors and best knowledge of how to impact student outcomes can have that time together. And we are continually looking at for ways to do that, especially in situations in which we've got grade levels where we might only have 1